Hey, Summit County. Adrienne here with Summit County Government. And I am here today talking with one of our most important elected officials in the county, our coroner, Amber. Amber, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes. So Amber was one of those staff members I talked to when I was first getting started here at the county, and I was so surprised to learn all of the incredible things that the coroner's office does. And you know, there's some mystery around your job, right?
Yeah.
And death is kind of a taboo topic in our society. But, you know, tell me first, like, how did you get into this position? And yeah, what does your job look like?
Well, you know, most people don't know that the coroner is actually an elected position. I was elected to my office in November of 2022. I actually took office in January of 2023. And I have to always say that I just absolutely love what I do. It's such an amazing job. Like, it's incredible to be able to support the community in the way that my team and I are able to support.
So tell me a little bit about your team.
So, well, I'll start by telling you that our job is legislated by statute. That is primarily 30-10-606. So there are a lot of statutes that reference the coroner in our laws. But my team, I have Deputy Coroner Britt Lee, and then I also have Chief Deputy Coroner Jill Ratliff. We are all certified, board certified medical legal death investigators, and we absolutely love our job. I do want to mention that we do have an open position at this time. We just had someone step down, and so if anybody's interested in coming to work for our office, please check out the Summit County site to apply.
Yeah. And, you know, your team does so many different things. I think that the community will be a little bit surprised to hear about some of the work that you all do. You know, tell me, what does a quote unquote average day look like?
Oh my gosh. I don't think there's an average day for a coroner. You know, some days I may be sitting in my office filing papers and pulling obituaries from, you know, somebody may have died in our community or from another state. But in that same day, for example, I last year received a call while I'm sitting in my office to respond to a suicide. And then while I was on that scene, I received a call of a hospice death that couldn't be picked up. They had all of their plans sorted out. They knew the mortuary they were going to be using. When the mortuary was on their way from the Front Range, they were stuck in traffic as I-70 westbound was closed.
Tale as old as time with that.
Right?
Yeah.
And then as I'm putting her into you know, her resting space until I can get her to mortuary, I received a third call, which was a I-70 closure for a confirmed fatality and potentially more.
Wow. So yeah, no day is really ever the same, especially when you're dealing with human life.
Yeah.
You know, tell me though, your staff, one of the things I love about your staff is the tremendous amount of empathy that you all have. And tell me kind of, what are the qualities do you think a good coroner and coroner team should have?
I would say foremost, number one is the compassion. Compassion, empathy, curiosity. You know, I always jokingly say that we are CSI Light here in Summit County.
Tell me more about that. Yeah.
Well, we're doing medical legal death investigation. You know, we're going to the scene and we're evaluating what this person has potentially died from. And, you know, in that, we need to tell their story. And then the whole other piece of that, which is the passion about why we do this job, is taking care of the people that are living.
Yeah.
Just the compassion that we can show to them and you know, just pour our hearts into. It's amazing.
In what ways do you work with folks who have died? In what ways do you work with their families and friends who remain with us?
Well, gosh, I mean, I'm going to tell honestly, the biggest piece is the communication that we can provide to them and to continue to help them throughout the whole grieving process. You know, we reach out to all of our resources in our community. We, you know, I won't go into the specifics. We have so many. We are so fortunate in this small community to have all of the grief support. There can never be too many, though. We're always trying to find more ways. But yeah, it's, you know, we build relationships with our families for years. You know, we still get flowers from a lot of our families, or we just reach out to them and say, hey, how is everything going? Do you need anything else? Can we add more support to you? Can we help in your community? Because oftentimes, you know, when people die in Summit County, they're not from here. So we have to help organize them getting back to their home state and oftentimes their home country.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, you know, how does your team manage that? You know, trauma and grief can sometimes be internalized, and when you're on the job, you can put it in a little box, but when you get home, it's a little different. How does your team manage, you know, just dealing with these situations? Like, you're with families on the worst day of their lives. How do you all manage that?
Well, I'll mention that we just recently, and we've used Building Hope quite a bit, and I know everybody in our community will know who they are. She just came, and one of their members came and sat down with my team, and we talked about it. You know, when we've had really major trauma and tragedy in our community, specifically when it comes to the young people, when there's a death, it takes a big toll on all of us. It's a really huge, heavy burden, you know, emotional, heartfelt experience. Building Hope has come and sat down with my team and just done counseling with us as a collaborative group. Each of us have our own methods also of dealing with trauma. Anytime we've had a heavy case, I encourage my team to take a couple of personal days to go ride their horses, go spend time with their dogs, go for a hike. If it's a beautiful day and it's quiet day in the coroner, I say, please go take some runs. So, and we do that for each other. We support each other. If it's a day that we're just like heavy-hearted, each of us will cover for each other.
That's really special. I love the camaraderie that your team has, built all around these common goals of helping the community. Tell me, what would the public be surprised to know about your job?
This is a good one, I think. I would say that most people don't know that the coroner, if we were to have our sheriff not be able to do his role in the manner that he would normally do, the coroner steps in and works as acting sheriff until a sheriff is appointed.
Well, I'm public, and that surprised me. So nice. What would you say, Amber, surprised you or your staff members after coming into their roles?
I would say the biggest thing for me as the elected coroner was navigating politics to get the resources and the things that I need to do my job well for this community.
Tell me more about that.
Well, you know, when I took office, we were a growing community. We currently still don't have a morgue, so I've been really working with our elected officials to try to get that for us and get us more office space. When I first took office, Jill and I were sharing a teeny little office together. It was really challenging for us to pour our heart out to our families when we're sitting there looking at each other. It's so personal what we do at times. But they recently were able to get us 2 office spaces. One became Jill's personal office, and then the other became a family room for us to work with our families and support them during their grief, give them their personal items back once they've lost a loved one here, just to generally have meetings with the whole family to discuss next steps.
Oh, that's so important.
So I want to give a shout out to and thank you to my commissioners and our management team for aiding us in getting this. You know, it's been a long time coming. It's needed. So
yes,
thank
absolutely. So tell me more. You mentioned medico-legal death investigators.
Yes.
And you had your week celebrating your positions in January. Tell me more about the training that you and your team go through to effectively do your jobs.
We're all board certified medical legal death investigators. That is a very difficult board exam. It's about 5 hours or 8 segments. It's around 600 questions. Ranging from anywhere about doing medical legal or doing death investigation science, like knowing biology and physiology and anatomy. There's a lot of forensic questions on there. I mean, like I said, there's 8 segments. So there's a whole segment on law enforcement and communicating and working with law enforcement. There's a segment on working with your families and grief. All of my team also is CCA qualified, which is Colorado Coroners Association certified. I'm also on the Colorado Coroners Association Board of Directors and making decisions for all of our state. Work very closely with all of our coroners in the state of Colorado. Like, we are so highly connected, and part of that is that I call everybody, I reach out, we email back and forth, so we've all become friends. It's amazing how much that we can do to support our surrounding counties, and our surrounding counties can do to support all of us.
I love that. I found that in my role too, that everyone really helps each other, and we learn from the good times and the bad times, and it's really nice to have that support, especially among your team as well. You know, you had 2 folks on your team go through a special training lately to help our community manage grief in the mourning process. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, that is called Facing the Mourning. And I actually didn't go through the training to become a facilitator. It was just Jill and Britt. that went through the process, and they will be holding a session for the public. There will be 4 sessions coming up soon, and it's just, coming together and to discuss grief and do different tasks and like shadow boxes and just different things,
like exercises
to help the process of mourning. I do want to also mention that I have 3 survivor support team members that I didn't mention earlier that are just amazing. Anytime we have someone that passes in our community, there's sometimes so many things that have to be taken care of, which would be like setting up, getting a mortuary, sometimes getting them back to their home state or their home country. Having these 4 members, which are Arlene Seltzer and Sherry Kerkoffe and Thea O'Leary, and I also have Stevie Day. They show up when we need that extra trauma support or family support on scene anytime we need it, 365 days a year. We are on call for 24 hours a day. So, yeah.
Oh, thank them for their work, because that can be so tricky when you're managing your own grief, plus details and logistics,
yes.
which is like sometimes the last thing you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
What else do you want the public to know about your office and your team?
Just how amazing they are. I mean, I do also need to mention that I have 4 backcountry deputies. They actually work for the sheriff's office.
Oh, wow.
They attend scenes when it's like in the, like say an avalanche scene or an on mountain scene, and one of us as a coroner aren't able to get there right away. They are actually sworn in as backcountry deputies to assist in those scenes. Yeah, so they're amazing. I'll also just, a few more things that my team has been dabbling in over the past few years since I took office. I am extremely involved in the community as well as my team. We now are doing presentations with our search and rescue group. We're doing presentations with all of our ski patrol, with Keystone, Breckenridge. I didn't make it to Arapahoe Basin this year, but I will next season.
Awesome.
And then as well as Keystone and Copper. I did Copper this year as well. And I feel like it's been amazing to get to know our patrollers. I call them my patrollers, but so much better. I mean, I've been in the ski industry a long time, so I know a lot of them. But getting to sit down with them and talk about our process of doing a death investigation, as well as us dealing with the trauma of doing a death investigation.
Yes.
So just going in front of our patrollers and talking to them about how someone died and what the outcome was, and just being connected during the process of all of this is so beneficial with us dealing with our grief of trauma. I mean, we all go through it, even though we're the, oftentimes you forget that.
Yes.
We're the responders, but we grieve the loss of any person, no matter if they're originally part of us. You've heard me say it. When someone dies in Summit County, they become my family, and their family becomes our family.
Amber, thank you so much. As a former ski person myself, I have to say thank you for the work you do with our first responders on the mountain, because it is so important. And the empathy and compassion, and I mean, you're curious in yourself. Your staff is always learning something new and trying something new in our community, and we are just so grateful. So thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be able to express what we do, because a lot of people don't understand death care.
Yeah, exactly, and what to do. Summit County, you're always supported by Amber and her team and all of us here on staff. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.